Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Badley Jonathan. In their top stories in this edition of the news, lawyers or defense lawyers of Sisiku, Ayuk, TABE and the other leaders arrested and detained in connection to the deepening Anglophone crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon accused the Yaoundé military court of bias treatment. They moved out of the courtroom today and the case was adjourned to the 7th of March 2019. And out of the country, the United Nations Commission on Human Rights in Southern Sudan expresses outrage over renewed fighting that has forced thousands out of their homes. The hearing of the case pitting Sisiku, Ayuk, TABE and the other 9 leaders arrested and detained in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, in connection to the deepening Anglophone crisis has once again been adjourned. It was adjourned some few minutes ago to the 7th of March 2019, and the adjournment came after the defense lawyers moved out of the courtroom in protest to the decision of the Yaoundé military court, notably concerning the debate on the nationality of the accused Sisiku, Ayuk, TABE and the other 9 leaders of the struggle in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. The lawyers had earlier been requested by the court to present proofs that the arrested and detained leaders are Cameroonians, or better still, are refugees, as the lawyers indicated, and information streaming in from Yaoundé indicate that the lawyers presented documents to show proof that the leaders are refugees, but the court, after examining the proofs and the documents, of course, presented by the defense lawyers of Sisiku, Ayuk, TABE and Co, decided and said that they are all Cameroonians and not refugees, as the lawyers had indicated earlier, and the lawyers requested for appeal on that decision. And when the appeal was not granted, or better still refused, the lawyers decided to move out of the courtroom, accusing the Yaoundé military court of biased treatment of that case. And some few minutes later, it was adjourned to the 7th of March 2019. We shall be coming back to this in greater details. And today was another death day in Anglophone Cameroon. In the northwest and southwest regions of the country, towns and villages were simply deserted as a result of a special operation Ghost Town imposed by supporters of the leaders who were in court today at the Yaoundé military court, of course, and the towns and villages in the 2 Anglophone regions of the country were simply deserted as a result of that special operation Ghost Town in honor of Sisiku, Ayuk, TABE and the other leaders who were appearing in court today in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. Now we move over to the east region of the Republic of Cameroon to talk about the situation of thousands of refugees from neighboring Central African Republic who are now seeking refuge on the Cameroonian soil. Many of them are living in very difficult conditions and posing a security problem in that part of the country as a result of the increasing number of the refugees who keep on flowing into Cameroon from neighboring Central African republics. Manjikan Gebre has more.
Sihomo refugee camp in the east region of Cameroon, located in Garouabulai. Most of those in the camp are from the Central African Republic, fleeing away from war. The living standard within the camp is not different from other refugee settlements. Access to potable drinking water is one of the greatest difficulties faced by these inhabitants. The women in the camp, however, don't depend on their husbands, as in each home, petty businesses are exposed through which the women generate funds. To better empower these women as well as the men, a non-profit organization known as 1 Billion Rising was at the Tihomo refugee camp. For 2 days, the members of 1 Billion Rising trained the women and men on how to make liquid soap, which could serve as a source of revenue in future. An initiative lauded by the divisional officer for Garwa Bulai.
This initiative goes a long way to enhance not only the well-being of the women, not only the well-being of the refugee population, but I think that it is going to enhance the well-being of the population of our the most beautiful and wonderful subdivision.
With the NGO fighting against violence on women, the divisional officer has this advice for men who have turned their wives into punching baskets.
As far as violence against women is concerned, the law does not accept violence. I want to tell the population and the men in particular who are used to causing violence in their homes, who are used to turning their homes as sectors of terrorism, that they have to be the protectors of women.
With the training, the women as well as the men are hoping that other non-governmental organizations will come to empower them.
And problems linked to biosecurity and biosafety in hospitals across the Republic of Cameroon continue threatening human and animal lives in the country, and it is for this reason that some experts met today in the economic capital Douala to examine some guidelines as far as biosecurity and biosafety are concerned, and the guidelines will be examined and adopted in the course of a seminar or better still a workshop taking place here in Douala. Details in this report. Thousands of medical error-related deaths are recorded in hospitals around the world, especially in developing countries of Africa, including Cameroon, where healthcare services are relatively poor. In 2014, the World Health Organization estimated that 8,000 deaths by medical error were recorded in Cameroon.
The lack of equipment, the lack of personnel, of personnel in our laboratories, the lack of means, the lack of fundings, the lack of well-equipped labs, the lack of motivated people. I think this is really a problem which really encompasses many bodies of personnel in our country.
Some of the medical errors are committed in laboratory tests and analysis, coupled with biosecurity and biosafety flaws and illegal manipulations.
Responsible laboratory practices, including protection, control, accountability for valuable biological materials, will help prevent their unauthorized access, loss, theft, misuse, diversion, or intentional release. The continuing appearance of some highly virulent emerging and re-emerging infectious agents highlights the need for coordinated preparedness in support of global public health.
In a bid to curb or eradicate these threats to human and animal health, experts have established biosafety and biosecurity guidelines for laboratories in Cameroon. Meeting in Douala, they are scrutinizing the guidelines in view of adoption.
We did ask ourselves, if in front of emerging diseases or re-emerging diseases, is the country ready to make sure that we have the means to protect our population in this period of hard times? Everything is possible. So we should be ready as experts to bring to those who govern us the means and our skills to improve the health of our people.
The document, qualified as strategic, was elaborated with technical and financial aids of partners like Metabiota and Global Health Security Agenda, a growing partnership of over 64 nations, international organizations, and non-governmental organization stakeholders. President Nana Akufo has reacted to the Ivorian president's comments concerning the franc CFA currency. According to the president of Ghana, contrary to what President Alassane Dramane Ouattara said during a visit in the French capital city, Paris, the franc CFA currency is not helping to stabilize the economies of the African countries that are using the franc CFA. And of course, he reacted shortly after the Ivorian president Alassane Dramane Ouattara said in France that the debate on the franc CFA currency being used by some African nations, notably Francophone African nations, is not worth putting on the table. EQUINOXE.
While Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara believes the CFA franc currency stabilizes economies of all 14 African countries using it, Nana Akufo-Addo, President of Ghana, on his part, thinks the African countries must revise their accords with the French bank.
Il y a des conditions structurelles qu'on doit dépasser.
To him, with the existence of a central bank, these 14 African countries will carry out profitable commercial activities and economic development will accelerate and grow stronger.
Je ne dis pas que dans la zone franc il n'y a pas d'évolution et tout ça.
Daniel Ona-Ondo, president of the CEMAC Commission, invokes the necessity of a sincere and frank debate on the CFA franc issue between the 14 African states, the French Bank, International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank for review of the situation.
Mon rôle, c'est de voir à partir de tout ce qui se dit aujourd'hui, voir comment il faut relancer la machine.
The CEMAC Commission President thus wishes for organization of an international colloquium on the CFA franc squabble that will allow for African countries decide whether they will like to change the currency or not.
La Banque centrale est là, l'organe fêtier qui contrôle la création monétaire, qui est la banque des banques, la banque des nations et la banque des États.
Such an announced colloquium on the franc debate, many believe, will enable the 14 African countries using it make appropriate decision whether or not to change the currency in order to strengthen their economies and foster development.
And that's